Chapter 061. You are listening at novelfull.audio. White Lotus relies on massive chakra reserves, while the Uzumaki clan, like Ashina, are masters of specialized chakra control. Right now, we need Uzumaki Ashina's sealing techniques. And later, I can use his knowledge to help Kushina. After merging this card, you'll get all of Uzumaki Ashina's ninjutsu, sealing techniques, physical skills, combat experience, and talent. Estimated integration time, 30 days. Fuse now. Fuse. Fusing this card is like inheriting everything from the Hashirama card, and then adding Uzumaki Ashina's skills on top of that. It's like having the strength and talent of the best from both the Senju and Uzumaki clans, plus their special abilities. Uzumaki Ashina. A legend from the same era as the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, famous for his sealing prowess. Even Hashirama was amazed by his sealing techniques. Suddenly, a virtual space appeared in my mind. In the center stood a faded figure, Uzumaki Ashina. I was seeing through his eyes, being Uzumaki Ashina. And facing me was the 9 tails. For symbol seal. 8 trigram seal. With these seals, Uzumaki Ashina actually forced the 9 tails into the body of a young woman, Jinchuriki. That figure looked familiar. I opened my eyes, feeling an instinctive understanding of sealing techniques, ready to use them at any time. Seal a tailed beast with a thought. That's the power of Uzumaki Ashina. And this is just the beginning. Full integration would be unbelievable. Name, Feng. Strength, Kage level plus. Position, Special Shinobi. Character cards, SSS level Hashirama Senju, Fusion 100%, S level Uzumaki Ashina, Fusion 10%. Bloodline limit, God level would release. Ninjutsu, Flying Thunder God Technique LV3, Reanimation Jutsu LV3, Lightning Blade LV3, Sage Art LV3, Een Seal LV3, Creation Rebirth LV3, For Symbols Seal LV9, Reaper Death Seal LV9, Sexy Technique LV3, Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique LV3. The 4 Symbols Seal and Reaper Death Seal jumped from level 3 to level 9 thanks to Uzumaki Ashina. I took one look and sprinted to Training Ground 4. Who's tearing through the village like that? That I ignored the comment and kept running. Even a Jonin could only see a blur in the night sky, so fast. I reached Training Ground 4, the entire area was surrounded by ninjas. Not even a mosquito could get through. I could see a 4 violet flames barrier active inside. In the center, the monstrous 2 tails was overwhelming Mito Uzumaki, who was in half-tailed beast mode. Danzo wanted Mito to reinforce the seal, but the 2 tails broke through, so why is only Mito there? Where's Danzo? And why are these ninjas standing guard instead of helping? Halt. Official business. Civilians keep out. Besides the Umbu, the biggest forces in Konoha are the administration department and the guard department. The Uchiha clan has controlled the guard department since the village was founded. The administration department is run jointly by several Konoha families, like the Hyuga and Mito, with many of its members coming from those families. Official business. Keep out. Get out of my way. Seeing the 9 tails and the 2 tails together gave me a bad feeling. The 9 tails already had 8 tails, nothing like Mito's original form. It looked like a real tailed beast. Kushina, Grandma Mito, please be alright. I charged forward. A group of Jonin tried to stop me. What are you doing? Can't you see it's official business? Keep out. I roared. Move aside if you want to live. The sheer force coming off me sent shivers down the spines of the Jonin trying to block me. I activated Sage Mode. The sudden burst of Sage Chakra, along with my obvious intent to kill, terrified everyone. The administration department ninjas in front of me practically collapsed. Some of the older Jonin, shaking, recognized Sage Mode. They were too scared to get in the way. This was basically Hashirama Senju reincarnated. Chapter 062. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Feng brushed past them, not even sparing them a glance. Nobody dared to stop him. Feng, what do you think you're doing? Danzo, Sleeping Koharu and Mtlnovel stepped in front of Feng, blocking his path. They figured if Feng dared to barge in, he'd pay the price. Get out of my way. Danzo, Koharu, and Mtlnovel were wide-eyed. The sheer force radiating from Feng made them feel like they should be bowing down. They looked closer, their eyes practically bulging out of their sockets. Sage mode. Mtlnovel was the first to freak out, trembling and stammering. Just then, two figures, one gold and one silver, dropped down behind them. It was Minato Namikaze and Tsukumo Hatake. Seeing the 9 tails and 2 tails battling inside the 4 violet flames barrier, they immediately frowned. Koharu perked up a little when she saw Minato and Tsukumo arrive. After all, they were 2 of the Leaf's best, and she doubted Feng would dare to do anything with them around. She turned to Koharu. Feng, you want to? Before she could finish, Feng slapped Koharu across the face, sending her flying. Danzo, Mtlnovel, the newly arrived Minato Namikaze, Tsukumo Hatake, and even the administrative ninjas who were already kneeling, were stunned. Feng just slapped Koharu. Minato and Tsukumo were horrified. The murderous intent and chakra emanating from Feng felt like a crushing mountain. Standing before Feng, they felt completely outmatched. How did Feng become so terrifying in just a few days? Even Tsukumo Hatake, the Leaf's white Fang, felt intimidated, and Koharu. She was one of the Leaf's top brass. How could he just attack her like that? Danzo and Mtlnovel exchanged uneasy glances, a sense of foreboding washing over them. Koharu crashed to the ground, eyes wide, mouth agape. She couldn't comprehend where Feng got the nerve to hit her. She was an elder of the Leaf. Did he know the consequences? When Hiruzen got back, he'd be dead. She touched her mouth and her hand came away covered in blood. All her front teeth were gone. Feng. You're asking for death. Koharu's eyes were bloodshot. She'd never been so humiliated. Minato Namikaze, Tsukumo Hatake, why haven't you apprehended this Leaf traitor yet? Minato wanted to stop Feng, but remembering the 3rd Mizukage being hauled off in a coffin just recently, he looked to Tsukumo. Let the senior handle this. He could learn from Tsukumo's example. Tsukumo frowned. Elders, what's the situation? Who's inside? What's the situation? We asked Lady Mito Uzumaki to seal the 9 tails, and he came to interfere, leading to all this. He even attacked me. He's a disgrace to the Leaf. Koharu had completely lost it, being assaulted in front of everyone like that. She wanted to tear Feng apart, but Feng ignored them and charged towards the 4 violet flames barrier. Inside the barrier, Kushina, Mito Uzumaki, and Isabu all noticed Feng. Isabu chuckled. Heh, another one. Do you humans dare let go of the enchantment? Before Isabu could finish, Mito Uzumaki, almost completely transformed into a tailed beast, kicked him away again. When Kushina saw Feng, tears welled up in her eyes. Feng. Seeing Kushina reach out, Mito Uzumaki quickly shouted, don't touch it. The enchantment is lined with purple flames. If you touch the walls, you'll get burned. Kushina's face paled. She looked at Feng and yelled, Feng, don't touch it. But it was too late. Feng had already made contact. Snap. Feng recoiled, clutching his hand in pain, watching as the flames burned his fingers. The purple flames spread along his hand. Kushina, seeing Feng's scorched hand, burst into tears. Feng. Koharu, spitting out blood from where Feng had knocked out her teeth, smiled hatefully. The 4 violet flames barrier can't be broken from the outside without shadow-level strength. The 9 tails and 2 tails are out of control. It's all your fault, Feng. You're a disgrace to the Leaf. Feng glared at Koharu, his eyes cold. Today, I'm going to kill you. Testimonials, to the readers who've made it this far, thank you for your support. We're entering a major arc, a big twist. It's going to get even more exciting from here. Available at 12 p.m. tonight, there will be over 20,000 words of updates then. The first 5 chapters will be released, and then the coding will follow. I'm ready to stay up all night. I've been criticized a lot, and honestly, I've lost a lot of confidence. I don't know how many people are still reading, the last 6 months have been rough, and I've barely made any money, so, I'm on my knees, begging all readers to subscribe at 12 tonight. Thank you. If the subscription can exceed 1,000, I'll add 10 more chapters per day. I'll stay up every night working hard. Chapter 063. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yi Feng's sudden burst of murderous intent stunned everyone, his scorched fingers twitched, the charred skin flaking off to reveal skin as smooth as new. The burned finger was completely healed, as if nothing had happened. This was the incredible regeneration ability granted by Sage Mode and his wood release. Ordinary flames couldn't harm Yi Feng. Uzumaki Mito gazed at Yi Feng's Sage Mode appearance, momentarily mesmerized. That distraction proved costly, as the seal within her body began to weaken. A terrifying, malevolent chakra surged from Mito, the already potent-tailed beast chakra almost solidifying into a tangible form. She dropped to all fours, a ninth tail beginning to emerge. She was on the verge of becoming the Nine Tails. Haha, my Nine Tails is breaking free. 40 years. I'm finally free. Hashirama Senju, Uzumaki Ashina, I will slaughter all your descendants. Mito, nearing complete loss of control, yelled, Kushina, hurry. I'll help you seal the two tails. Seeing Mito on the verge of losing control, Yi Feng's heart sank. Even if the two tails were sealed, what would become of Mito? Kushina was on the verge of tears. Yi Feng, his heart aching for Kushina's distress, immediately began forming hand seals. A torrent of sage chakra, vast as a river, surged forth. He initiated the most powerful wood-release ninjutsu of the legendary Hashirama Senju. Sage art, wood release, true several thousand hands. The wooden construct he used on the bridge between water and fire was merely a wooden human technique. This sage art would release true several thousand hands was a super-evolved version. The original wooden construct was dwarfed by even the head of this gigantic Buddha statue. Yi Feng stood atop the wooden figure, which in turn sat upon the head of the colossal Buddha. Hence the name, true several thousand hands. It was Buddha incarnate. Yi Feng, Buddha on the head of the wooden figure, which was Buddha on the head of the Buddha statue. Mito, Danzo, witnessing the ground shatter and the earth buckle, reacted swiftly, yanking Mito Menyen out of harm's way. Danzo dragged Mito Menyen, leaping backward to evade the corner of the enormous Buddha statue that suddenly materialized. This Buddha statue was larger than a mountain. A single hand was bigger than a house. Even a glancing blow would inflict serious injury. Mito Menyen collapsed to the ground, staring in horror at the towering Buddha statue and its countless arms. It instantly transported him back to the battle at the Valley of the End 40 years prior. The changed terrain, the exact same colossal Buddha statue was etched into his memory. Danzo stood frozen in shock, gritting his teeth. Back then, they were young, in awe of the ninja god. Hashirama, through his own power, bested the strongest Uchiha, subdued the terrifying Nine Tails, and, together with the Uzumaki clan head, sealed the Nine Tails within Uzumaki Mito. Now, a different young man, wielding the same Sage Mode, was using the same ultimate Sage art would release ninjutsu. No way, Koharu wasn't so lucky. She was struck by a corner of the massive Buddha statue and sent flying, blood spraying everywhere. Minato and Kakashi were equally stunned, quickly retreating. Minato's mind flashed back to the destruction he saw when he went to rescue Yi Feng. Could this massive Buddha statue have been the cause? It was just too big. Kakashi recalled stories from his childhood, about 30 years ago, when his ninjutsu teacher told him the legends of Hashirama Senju. Kakashi was born during the First Shinobi World War and never saw Hashirama Senju in his prime. Could this be the strongest sage ninjutsu of Hashirama Senju? With the appearance of the colossal Buddha statue, the four violet flames formation was instantly crushed by the sheer force of true several thousand hands. Its mere appearance was far beyond a shadow-level attack. Bang! The four violet flames formation shattered, the four jonin controlling it coughing up blood as they fled. There was no point in fighting this. I'm outta here. The Nine Tails, on the verge of breaking free, was dumbfounded by the appearance of the massive Buddha statue. Its momentum faltered, and Uzumaki Mito forced it back. Within Mito's spiritual realm, the Nine Tails had already broken free from the seal, half its body emerging, but the moment it saw the sage art would release true several thousand hands, it instinctively recoiled. Though it was long ago, the Nine Tails was genuinely terrified back then. Now, seeing the Thousand Hands Buddha statue, it felt a deep-seated fear. Mito seized the opportunity to reseal the lock. "No!" The Nine Tails shrieked, reaching out to block the closing door. "I'm getting out." Mito's Nine Tails instantly reverted to 6, but a 7th was about to emerge. Mito continued to battle the Nine Tails, her face growing paler. She was old, no longer as strong as she once was. The pressure on Mito was immense. If her seal broke and the Nine Tails was released, what would happen to Konoha? Who would protect the village? Mito desperately clung on, hoping to hold on for just one more second. Now, seeing Feng use sage art would release true several thousand hands, Mito breathed a sigh of relief. No longer afraid, an image of Hashirama Senju immediately flashed through her mind. "Hashirama, are you watching?" Mito now believed Feng to be the reincarnation of Hashirama Senju. How else could he use the exact same ninjutsu? This was reincarnation. The Senju and Uzumaki clans were destined to unite and restore Konoha's glory. As Hashirama's wife, Hashirama's Nindo was also Mito's Nindo. Kushina stared blankly at the gigantic Buddha statue materializing before her. Before she could react, a colossal wooden hand appeared in front of her. Kushina gritted her teeth and leaped onto the palm. The hand retracted. Kushina exhaled, watching the ground shrink as she rose higher and higher. It was so high, hundreds of meters, right? Whoa! Before Kushina could react, she was embraced from behind. "Kushina, are you alright?" Kushina's shoulders trembled. She shook her head, tears streaming down. "I'm okay, I'm fine. I'm back, and I won't let anyone hurt you." Kushina's body quivered, and she abruptly turned around and kissed Feng deeply. Chapter 064. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time seemed to freeze. Joshinai savored the moment, but Feng craved more. "Save Grandma Mito!" Joshinai exclaimed, her face flushed. Feng nodded, weaving hand seals. Suddenly, everything went dark. A terrifying aura surged outward, like a monstrous wave crashing ashore, shaking the entire continent. The 1,000-meter-tall Buddha statue rose completely, dwarfing the surrounding peaks into mere rockeries. Thousands of massive Buddha palms blotted out the sky. Konoha Village trembled violently. "What's going on? Is that an earthquake? What is that thing?" The villagers of Konoha were jolted awake. They poured into the streets. Looking up, they gaped at the immense Buddha statue with its 1,000 hands reaching into the clouds, feeling like the world was ending. Within the Uchiha clan compound, Mikoto Uchiha and Obito Uchiha were attending a meeting with Fugaku Uchiha, the clan head. Suddenly, the ground lurched, and everyone rushed outside. Fugaku instantly recognized the massive Buddha statue and shuddered. That's first Hokage's ultimate ninjutsu, that he remembered, as a 3-year-old child, witnessing the battle at the Valley of the End from afar, the most terrifying and unforgettable battle of his life. He would never forget that colossal Buddha statue. Who is it? Could it be Feng? Fugaku immediately thought of Feng, but couldn't quite believe it. He wasn't aware that there was a surviving child from Orochimaru's Hashirama cell experiments. Even if that child possessed would release, it wouldn't be worth mentioning. He had seen Feng's would release before. Though strong, it was nowhere near the level of Hashirama Senju. There's a world of difference between would release and the would release. The first Hokage's was the real deal. Mikoto and Obito stared, wide-eyed. They recognized the giant Buddha and its 1,000 hands. Wasn't that the super ninjutsu Feng used to let them escape at the bridge? They glanced at each other, bewildered. It wasn't this huge back then, was it? Had it grown tenfold? Is it really Feng? Mikoto wondered aloud, still doubtful. Within the Hyuga compound, Hyuga Tenji, one of the oldest elders and a disciple of the second Hokage's ninjutsu, bowed reverently to the ground. This is the first Hokage's sage art, would release. The Hyuga clan members behind him knelt, awestruck by the miracle. Hinata Hayashi secretly raised his head and activated his Byakugan, focusing his chakra to enhance his vision and observe the giant Buddha from afar. He thought he could vaguely make out a person atop the giant Buddha's head. Upon closer inspection, it was a wooden figure. And that wooden figure was the one controlling it. Why did that figure look so familiar? Suddenly, blood streamed from Hayashi's eyes, and his vision went black as he collapsed. Hayashi, the heir to the Hyuga clan, fell, and panic spread among the family. High-ranking members of the other major clans also stared in disbelief. Some elders, who had been around since before the founding of Konoha, trembled at the sight of the thousand-hand Buddha statue. Good heavens, 1,000 hands? Impossible. Who could be doing this? Near the border of the land of fire and the land of lightning, two massive chakra signatures erupted. Boulders shattered instantly. Amidst the explosions, two figures clashed at incredible speed, then separated. Lightning release, lightning-style super vibration swords. Would release, great forest technique. The third Hokage and the third Raikage unleashed their ultimate techniques. Rumble, a deafening explosion filled the battlefield. Suddenly, a shadowy figure shot out from the chaos. It was the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, with blood trickling from his mouth. The third Raikage remained in place, not giving chase. Meanwhile, Orochimaru and Tsunade were facing the third Raikage's partner, the current Eight-Tails Jinchuriki, Fukai. The half-transformed Fukai held his own against the two Sannin. Orochimaru, knocked down by Fukai's punch, got back to his feet, a gleam in his eye. The power of a Jinchuriki. He suddenly wanted to study it. Just then, a terrifying tremor shook Konoha. The ground beneath everyone's feet vibrated. What's happening? An earthquake. Fukai, who had been gaining the upper hand against Orochimaru and Tsunade, suddenly retreated. Even the third Raikage looked puzzled. Fukai. What's wrong? The half-transformed Jinchuriki said gravely. For some reason, the Eight-Tails is suddenly restless. The third Raikage quickly backed away. Your seal isn't failing, is it? I don't know. Look over there. They both spotted the giant thousand-hand Buddha statue rising over Konoha Village, dwarfing even the mountains. What is that thing? Fukai muttered, I can feel the Eight-Tails' fear. The third Raikage glanced at Sarutobi, then at Orochimaru and Tsunade. Just then, a white-haired figure descended from the sky. Am I late? Jiraiya had arrived, reuniting the three Sannin of Konoha. Realizing they couldn't press their advantage, the third Raikage declared, we retreat. Tsunade turned to stare at the gigantic thousand-hand Buddha statue. Awestruck, Orochimaru chuckled. Is that Konoha? Jiraiya, his face a mask of shock, asked, the thousand-hand giant Buddha. Is that wood release, would human technique? Such a huge wooden man. Hiruzen Sarutobi was breathing heavily, but his eyes shone with understanding. He glanced at the thousand-hand giant Buddha. That's not the wood human technique. We need to get back immediately. As a former disciple of the first and second Hokage, Sarutobi's first thought upon seeing the authentic thousand hands and the figure atop the Buddha's head was Yefeng. Nothing will happen to the village. Hiruzen remembered the strange smile Danzo wore as he left earlier. Danzo, don't cause any more trouble. Meanwhile, in Kirigakure, the sudden disappearance of the third Mizukage and the 7 ninja swordsmen had plunged the village into chaos. All the political focus was now on who would claim the title of Mizukage. At that moment, on the opposite side of the sea, the sudden appearance of a gigantic Buddha statue startled everyone in Kirigakure. My God, what is that? Everyone stared, dumbfounded. It was in the direction of Konoha Village. Could it be some forbidden technique? In Iwagakure, the third Tsuchikage, Anoki, was listening to a report from his subordinates, learning that the Raikage was engaging the Hokage. The plan was to launch a blitzkrieg against Kumogakure and cut off their escape route, avenging Iwagakure's losses during the Second Shinobi World War. Suddenly, the ground shook slightly. Anoki looked out the window and saw a massive, thousand-handed Buddha statue towering in the distance. Am I going blind? Anoki rubbed his eyes, nearly popping them out of their sockets. Immediately send a team to Konoha to investigate the thousand-hand giant Buddha. Yes, Tsuchikage-sama, .3 squads of Jonin immediately departed Iwagakure, heading towards Konoha. Inoki's mind flashed back to 40 years prior, when he was a young emissary from Iwagakure, visiting Konoha to pay his respects. In Sunigakure, the third Kazekage stared at the colossal Buddha statue in the distance, utterly dumbfounded. Such a huge Buddha statue. Bigger than a mountain. As the third Kazekage's mind reeled, he suddenly found himself trapped in a genjutsu. He stood in a desolate desert, utterly alone. Where am I? Suddenly, two figures appeared before him. One was a figure around the age of 10 with short, orange hair, a beautiful appearance, and clad in a black cloak. The other was an old man, but it was his eyes that stood out. Kaleidoscope Sharingan. An hour later, the third Kazekage's eyes widened in disbelief, unable to comprehend that he had fallen at the hands of two unknown figures. Dark red blood seeped into the yellow sand, slowly submerging the third Kazekage's body until it disappeared, and so, Sasori of the red sand and Uchiha Madara had successfully carried out their joint assassination, dragging away the corpse. With the Kazekage gone, chaos erupted in the village. Feng never expected that the sage art would release he used this time, the ultimate ninjutsu, would shock the entire ninja world and, by chance, he inadvertently aided Sasori of the Red Sand and Uchiha Madara in their joint assassination. The flapping wings of Feng's butterfly rippled through the entire ninja world. The disappearance of the third Kazekage was the first spark that lit the fuse of the third shinobi world war. Rumble, a deafening roar. The entire continent trembled. The epicenter of the tremor was the training ground on the edge of Konoha Village. Though they called it a training ground, it was now nothing more than ruins. Stay still. One of the thousand-hand giant Buddha's hands stretched out, covering the sky and shaking the earth. The terrifying aura instantly terrified the two tails and nine tails, causing the fur on their bodies to stand on end. Tailed Beast Ball. A terrifying, purple-black chakra sphere instantly formed in the two tails' mouth. In a split second, the tailed beast ball was launched. The destructive energy distorted the air. With such power, it could obliterate a mountain. However, the thousand-hand giant Buddha's hand enveloped it like a five-fingered mountain. The tailed beast ball exploded within the giant Buddha's hand, but only scattered a few wood chips. No! Neo Jiu shrieked in horror as she watched the massive hand descend, blotting out her entire world. Rumble, starred a deafening crash. It was like an earthquake. The smoke and dust quickly dissipated, revealing the two tails cowering and silent, pinned beneath the massive hand. It was as if she was trapped beneath Five Finger Mountain. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fly. Chapter 065. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the other side, Mito Uzumaki's seal was still shaky, the tailed beast suppression was unstable, and the seven tails was about to break free. Feng frowned, dismissing the wood release, drew several thousand hands. It was just too much chakra. It was like using the wood human technique 100 times over, constantly draining chakra. Only someone with a massive reserve like Hashirama Senju could handle it. Holding Kushina, Feng gently floated down. Wait here for me. Kushina nodded. Feng, I know sealing techniques. I've got this. It'll be all right. Feng wasn't totally convinced of Kushina's skills. She was still a beginner, and he had inherited the complete sealing techniques of Ashina Uzumaki. You don't get it, Kushina said, worried. You don't know sealing as well. No one knows the Uzumaki clan's sealing arts better than me. Feng smiled. Before she could respond, Feng vanished, reappearing in front of Mito Uzumaki. She was still struggling with the nine tails, saying with difficulty, Feng, get Kushina over here fast. I need her to strengthen the seal. Inside Mito's mindscape, the nine tails roared, let me out. He was regretting everything. Why did he have to stir things up? If he hadn't gotten cocky, he would have been free by now. Even if this guy was as strong as the one from 4 years ago, escaping was possible. He had ruined a golden opportunity. The nine tails wanted to bang its head against a wall. It was so frustrated. Mito noticed Feng wasn't listening. Hurry, Feng. There's no time. that the Nine-Tails voice blared from Mito's body, "Release me. Let you go. You're staying put." That Yi Feng casually raised his right hand, creating 5 different chakra natures on his fingertips. Mito instantly recognized it, a 5-element seal. When did Yi Feng get so good at those? No. That's not a 5-element seal. Under Mito's shocked gaze, Yi Feng pressed his hand on the seal. This is bad. He's not reinforcing it with a 5-element seal. Hearing this, Yi Feng paused. You understand sealing techniques. These were the most closely guarded secrets of the Uzumaki clan, taught by the former patriarch, Ashina Uzumaki. The best way to strengthen this seal was with a 5-element seal and a 4-symbol seal. You don't know. Yi Feng simultaneously activated the 4-symbol seal with his other hand, pressing it in place. The Nine-Tails initially laughed, thinking Yi Feng was going to break the seal. But after only a second of joy, it found itself bound by countless chains and dragged into the darkness. The open door slammed shut. Not just 1 lock, but 3. The original seal, plus the 5 elements and 4-symbol seals Yi Feng just added. Mito was stunned, instantly returning to her normal form. That was it? This was beyond anything she knew. She didn't understand it at all. Kushina saw that Mito was okay and rushed over. "Grandma Mito, are you alright?" Mito felt her body, shaking her head. "I think so." She couldn't be sure if something was off. Yi Feng's 2 seals were beyond her comprehension. Where did he learn sealing like that? It was no wonder Mito didn't understand. These were Ashina Uzumaki's ultimate techniques, taught only to those with the right aptitude and used based on the situation. Ashina never found a worthy successor with the insight required, and now he was gone. Mito had only learned the basics. Yi Feng added, "Grandma Mito, the seal is reinforced, but you won't be able to borrow as much of the Nine-Tails chakra in the future." Mito nodded. "That's fine." The 2 tails saw the 9 tails almost break free, only to be sealed back in an instant. Terrified, it turned tail and ran. This human is too scary. He can use wood release and sealing techniques. He's not even human. It vowed never to set foot in the land of fire again. But as soon as it turned to flee, Kushina shouted, "Adamantine chains." Kushina was embarrassed. She had been standing by for so long, so she quickly used the Uzumaki clan's secret adamantine chains. Multiple chakra chains shot from her back, binding the 2 tails. "Let me go, human." Yi Feng was speechless. Animals aren't that bright, just repeating the same things. The 2 tails, Yujito ni, suddenly roared, "Who are you calling stupid?" The 2 tails thrashed wildly, and Kushina's face went pale. Yi Feng was suddenly annoyed. He vanished, reappearing in front of the 2 tails and kicking it. Rumble, star. The massive, mountain-like 2 tails was sent flying, hanging in the air for a moment before crashing down. Bang, star. "I just said what's wrong with you?" Bang, star. "You got a problem with that?" Bang, star. "If you're gonna be a dog, act like one." Yi Feng pinned the 2 tails head down, smashing it into the ground 3 times. The 2 tails was thoroughly cowed, not daring to lift its head. Muffled, it said, "I was wrong, big brother. I'm a cat, not a dog. Cat or dog, you'll obey me." Everyone present was stunned. Yi Feng's strength was beyond their wildest expectations. The 2 tails, who was powerful enough to destroy Konoha, had been beaten in just a few hits. Minato Namikaze glanced at Tsukumo Hatake, who was still speechless. Tsukumo said, "Why are you looking at me? My specialty is assassination. Yi Feng is about raw power, I can't compare." Tsukumo knew he could escape from the 2 tails, but he couldn't fight it head-on. Minato felt a twinge of jealousy. Yi Feng's punches were just too strong, weren't they? He pictured the corpses of the 3rd Raikage, the 3rd Kazekage and the 2nd Mizukage in his mind. Yi Feng's strength had come out of nowhere. Danzo and Hamura Mitokado were both visibly shaken, and they began to quietly back away while Yi Feng wasn't looking. Koharu Udatane, too scared to speak, secretly crawled away. Where did this Yi Feng come from? How could he be so terrifying? He can use Sage Mode and the first Hokage's forbidden techniques. Koharu regretted everything. She hadn't realized Feng was this strong. If she had known, she would never have messed with him. Now, Koharu felt her life was in danger. As she crawled away, she bumped into someone. Looking up, she nearly jumped out of her skin. Feng squatted down, looking at Koharu. What were you saying? Chapter 066. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Turning to Koharu, she stared at Feng with sheer terror, shrinking away like she was facing a ghost. Stay away. Help. Get that thing away from me. Just as Koharu screamed, masked Umbu ninjas materialized around Kakashi's dad, Tsukumo Hatake, and Minato Namikaze. Lord Tsukumo, Lord Minato, what's happening here? With the Hokage gone, the Umbu naturally deferred to Tsukumo and Minato. Given their standing in the ranks, they were all stunned by Koharu's wretched state. That's Koharu, one of the village elders. Were they seeing things right? And that young guy was Feng. The scene was so unbelievable, the Umbu ninjas hesitated to act. Minato frowned. Feng, listen to reason. Don't do anything rash. Shut it. Feng glared at Minato and grabbed Koharu. She frantically tried to form hand seals, but roots erupted from the ground, binding her hands. Tsukumo stepped forward. Feng, whatever's going on, wait for Naruto to come back and make his decision. Don't be impulsive. Impulsive? Feng scoffed. White-fanged, what would you do if they snatched your son Kakashi and tried to make him the Two-Tails Jinchuriki? Tsukumo sighed. Whatever the situation, you can't resort to vigilantism. Feng grinned. Vigilantism? Do they even deserve due process? With that, he tossed Koharu in front of the Two-Tails. Koharu looked up and met the beast's massive eyes. She went pale and couldn't utter a sound. The Two-Tails, in turn, glanced at Feng and also froze. Meanwhile, Danzo and Hamura, who were trying to sneak up, found their path blocked by Feng's shadow clone. Feng, what do you think you're doing? Danzo roared, glaring at Feng. Don't be reckless. We only agreed to activate the 4 Violet Flames formation to protect Konoha, at the urging of Lady Mito. Hamura chimed in, yeah, Feng, you're going too far. Elder Koharu might have messed up, but you can't just. Feng raised a hand, and Hamura instantly clammed up, flinching. The ninjas behind Danzo and Hamura, mostly from the Mito and Udatain clans, tensed, but Feng just scratched his head and chuckled. Relax, guys, I just wanted to ask, how exactly did you manage to snag the Two-Tails? Did you deliver it to me? Danzo stared intently at Feng, trying to read his intentions. Feng said casually, you can come to me, or I can come to you. Watch your mouth. Show some respect. One of the ninjas behind Hamura snapped. Shut up. Feng raised his hand again, and tree roots and vines erupted, instantly cocooning the ninja like a dumpling. Only his eyes remained visible, wide with terror as he struggled in vain. Meanwhile, the Two-Tails, sensing Feng wasn't paying attention, tried to bolt. But the moment it turned, its limbs were snared by roots and vines. Seriously? Can't even escape this far? The beast was frustrated. Just then, Kushina, using her adamantine sealing chains, once again anchored the Two-Tails in place. Lord Tsukumo, what do we do? An Umbu ninja whispered. Minato looked at Tsukumo. Senior, Tsukumo said gravely, let's wait and see. It seems Feng has a reason. I doubt he intends to kill them. After a tense silence, Danzo and Hamura reluctantly relented and followed Feng to where the Two-Tails was restrained. Mito Uzumaki scoffed. Danzo, Hamura, Koharu, you guys are a real piece of work. Danzo said smoothly, Lady Uzumaki, what do you mean? Everything we've done was with your approval. Kushina burst out angrily. You're all lying. Danzo glanced at Kushina. Really? Feng suddenly grinned. You called her Grandma Mito? Good. Now that I've caught the Two-Tails. Didn't you all think Kushina would make a great Two-Tails Jinchuriki? Danzo quickly shook his head. I don't know anything about that. Yeah, Yefeng, you've got it wrong. Whatever Lady Uzumaki does is her decision. It has nothing to do with us. Hamura and Koharu were quick to distance themselves. Mito Uzumaki glared at them. Kushina, fuming, pointed at the three. You guys are so calculating. Yefeng stopped Kushina and looked at the others. You know, I think you'd all make perfect Two-Tails Jinchuriki. The color drained from their faces, not just them. Tsukumo and Minato were stunned. Even Kushina and Mito Uzumaki hadn't expected that. They. Jinchuriki. Yefeng's insane idea left them speechless. Danzo, Hamura, and Koharu all recoiled, their eyes wide with horror. Being a Jinchuriki sounded cool and powerful, but none of them wanted it. Becoming a Jinchuriki meant losing your identity. Everyone would see you differently. You were no longer human, but half human, half monster, and as a Jinchuriki, you'd inevitably lose control, eventually being consumed by the tailed beast, becoming nothing more than its food. Then, you'd be a monster, through and through. Besides, becoming a Two-Tails Jinchuriki meant becoming a tool of Konoha, losing all personal freedom, and being constantly monitored. Most importantly, becoming a Jinchuriki meant kissing your political career goodbye. You'd become a war machine for Konoha. Who would want that kind of life? Yefeng had no intention of letting them off easy. Implanting the two tails in them was like planting a bomb that wouldn't hurt Yefeng, but would tear them apart, making them regret ever crossing him. Chapter 067. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tuanzong coughed. Yifeng, you're a riot. There's never been such an old Two-Tails Jinchuriki. Mito Menyen chimed in. Yeah, we're really not a good fit. Yifeng grinned. I said you're a good fit, you're a good fit. Unless you don't want a Two-Tails Jinchuriki. We. Danzo, Mito Menyen, and Koharu looked like they'd just swallowed something nasty. The Two-Tails wrinkled its nose at the trio. Ugh, that old people smell is rank. No way. Yifeng gave it a kick. Pipe down, you. Danzo, Mito Menyen, and Koharu perked up at the Two-Tails' words, their faces brightening. See, Yifeng. Did you hear that? We're not a match. Didn't they just capture that young girl from the hidden mist, Terumi? She'd be perfect. Yifeng chuckled. If you don't want it, I'll take it. Suddenly, Danzo, Mito Menyen, and Koharu were livid. No one had ever disrespected them like this. Just what did Yifeng think he was doing? Meanwhile, Kakashi's dad, Tsukumo, and Minato had caught wind of the situation and were watching with amusement. They weren't dummies. A little thinking told them Danzo, Mito Menyen, and Koharu were the problem. Besides, Tsukumo had never liked Danzo's philosophy, all that dark roots nonsense, sacrificing everything for Konoha as if he was fair game to sacrifice. Mito Menyen, sensing trouble, quickly turned to Tsukumo. Tsukumo, is this how your Umbu treats Konoha elders? Does Lord Hokage know about this? Tsukumo coughed. Well, Elder Menyen, right now Yifeng is tackling the Two-Tails problem. He's the best sealer we've got. Remember how easily he took care of the Nine-Tails. If Yifeng thinks you're a good fit, well, for Konoha's sake, I trust his judgment. For Konoha's sake, Danzo, Mito Menyen, and Koharu glared at Tsukumo. Tsukumo, what are you implying? Watch your mouth. What, for Konoha? We're completely unsuitable. Is this how Umbu protects Konoha? When Lord Hokage gets back, you'll be sorry. Yifeng smiled. He hadn't realized Tsukumo was such a master of passive aggression. How could a guy like that end up killing himself over gossip? It must have been brutal persecution. Well, I think he has a point, Yifeng said. Don't you always preach for Konoha? Today, you get to sacrifice a little for Konoha. In a flash, roots and vines erupted from the ground, pinning Mito Menyen's arms and legs so he couldn't move. Mito Menyen, you're a perfect fit. Yifeng declared, raising his fist. For Konoha. Mito Menyen's eyes went wide. No. I don't want it. The Two-Tails screeched, I'm not going into that old man's body. No way. Shut it. Yi Feng punched the two tails back into the ground. Danzo, pale and trembling, stumbled backward, not daring to interfere. Koharu felt a surge of relief, watching Yi Feng raise his right hand, the 5 fingers glowing with the 5 elemental chakras, earth, water, fire, wind, and lightning, and plunge them into Mitomenyen's stomach. The Uzumaki clan's unique sealing runes instantly appeared on Mitomenyen's abdomen, swirling in intricate patterns. Yi Feng, stop. Please, I'll do anything, Mitomenyen pleaded, even begging Mito Uzumaki for mercy. Mito-sama Uzumaki, spare me. I was wrong. For Kurama's sake, please, Kushina watched Mitomenyen's torment with satisfaction, and Mito Uzumaki shook her head. Mitomenyen, why are you becoming less and less enlightened with age? White Fang is right, everything is for Konoha. Your sacrifice will be worth it. Arg. Amid Mitomenyen's howls, Yi Feng stuffed the two tails directly into the sealing array on Mitomenyen's stomach. However, Yi Feng added 2 extra layers of sealing techniques, like adding 2 extra locks for good measure. Now, Mitomenyen was a two-tails Jinchuriki, but it would be almost impossible for him to waste the two-tails chakra. Everyone stared at Mitomenyen with a mixture of shock and morbid curiosity. Mitomenyen, finally released, roared and lunged at Yi Feng. Yi Feng, I'll kill you, bang, star. The next second, Mitomenyen was sent flying, crashing to the ground, his head bleeding, but the wound quickly healed. That's the power of a Jinchuriki. But Mitomata's teeth transformed, becoming sharp and jagged like the two tails host's, making him look like a demon. Koharu, seeing Mitomenyen's transformation, felt even more relieved he had dodged the fate of becoming a human pillar. At that moment, Yi Feng's words echoed in Koharu's mind, today, I will kill you. Yi Feng wouldn't actually try to kill me, would he? The thought sent a shiver down Koharu's spine. Just then, a Vajra staff dropped from the sky, separating the two sides. Koharu saw Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, arrive and sighed in relief. Lord Hokage, you're finally here. Sarutobi surveyed the completely destroyed training ground and frowned. What's going on here? Sure enough, it was Yi Feng's would release, could he also use Sage mode would release, Sarutobi glanced at Yi Feng, listening to Koharu's tearful accusations. Tsunade, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and the rest of Konoha's elite had also arrived. They all wore different expressions when seeing Yi Feng. Orochimaru's eyes burned with ambition. The stronger Yi Feng became, the more he wanted to study Yi Feng's blood, searching for the genetic material that made him so powerful. Jiraiya wondered if Yi Feng's emergence was a blessing or a curse for Konoha. If it was a disaster, he would sacrifice his own life to eliminate the threat Yi Feng posed. As for Tsunade, her emotions were conflicted. Yi Feng's way of doing things was radically different from the way of the Senju clan. Neither her grandfather nor her uncle would have had Yi Feng's temper. Was it really a good idea to entrust the future of the Senju clan to Yi Feng? Listening to Koharu's cries, Sarutobi sighed. Yi Feng, that guy, he's too unorthodox. He actually sealed the two tails into Mitomenyen and turned him into a Jinchuriki. These kids are too unpredictable. But another voice inside Hiruzen's head whispered, this is the right thing to do. He had gradually come to believe that Mitomenyen and Koharu had changed, becoming as corrupt as Danzo, and now, after Yi Feng had exposed them, they came running to him for help. Sarutobi sighed again. If I had known it would come to this, I would have prevented it earlier. Chapter 068. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Koharu and Mizuto Menyen were floored. Sarutobi, what did you just say? Mitomenyen's face was twisted as he glared at Hiruzen Sarutobi. Hiruzen just shook his head, looking helpless. Is glaring at me going to help? Yeah, what Yefeng did was way out of line, but wasn't your scheme even worse? You actually considered using Mito and Kushina? That's practically begging for a beatdown. Besides, I'm not sure I can control Yefeng anymore. Hiruzen pictured the giant, thousand-handed Buddha he'd seen earlier and still felt a jolt of shock. He suddenly felt every one of his years. Sarutobi turned to Mitomenyen. Menyen, it's done. Just relax and be a Jinchuriki. Konoha will take good care of you. Menyen's eyes were bloodshot. Just forget about it. Yefeng, you did cross the line. Menyen messed up, sure, but he's still a Konoha elder. Yefeng nodded. Alright, third Hokage's right. We're all doing this for Konoha. Elder Menyen, you can take one for the team, right? With that, Yefeng turned, took Kushina's hand, and said, let's go home. Kushina piped up immediately. Grandma Mito, let's go home. Mito Uzumaki nodded, glanced at Hiruzen Sarutobi, and followed Yefeng and Kushina out. Sarutobi, are you really going to let him get away with this? Sarutobi, did you see how arrogant he was? Sarutobi, I want answers, or this isn't over. Hiruzen Sarutobi fixed Danzo, Mito Menyen, and Koharu with a stare. I want some answers too. Why didn't you activate the 4 violet flames formation when Uzumaki-sama told you to? Why are you two elders still giving orders to the administration department when you're no longer in charge? And why was the two-tails seal deliberately weakened? Sarutobi watched the 3 of them clam up. He snorted. You all claim to be doing this for Konoha, so now, when it's time to contribute and sacrifice for Konoha, don't start whining. Danzo gritted his teeth, leaned in close to Hiruzen, and whispered, everything I've done is for the best. If this keeps up, Konoha won't belong to any of us. It'll just be the Senju clan's personal playground. Will it even be Konoha anymore? Sarutobi gave Danzo a cold look. Danzo, don't forget, Konoha was founded by the Senju clan in the first place. And the second Hokage were also Senju. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. With that, Hiruzen turned and left, but all the way back, Hiruzen kept getting reports from the Umbu, each one more shocking than the last. Yefeng single-handedly sealed both the 9 tails and the 2 tails. The 3rd Mizukage is dead, killed by Yefeng, and his body's been recovered. The 3 shinobi standing nearby were speechless. Just how strong was Yefeng? Back at home, after Mito Uzumaki went to her room, Yefeng grabbed Kushina and pulled her into a hug. It gave Kushina a jolt. The roller coaster of emotions made her reach up and kiss Yefeng. First, a light peck, then, a downpour. Finally, blushing furiously, Kushina pushed Yefeng away. I'm going to bed. She ran into her room, slamming the door behind her. Kushina was half expecting Yefeng to barge in, but he didn't. After a few minutes, she peeked through the crack in the door. Yefeng was gone. Humph, pig. Men are such pigs. Meanwhile, in his own room, Yefeng opened his character stats, swapped out a character card, and equipped an S-rank card, the original Mizukage, Haku Ren. His new stats were, name, Yefeng, strength, high Kage level, position, special Jonin, character cards, SSS rank Hashirama Senju, fusion, 100%, S-rank original Mizukage Haku Ren, fusion, 10%, Kekiai Genkai, God level would release, ninjutsu, Flying Thunder God Technique LV3, Impure World Reincarnation LV3, Chidori LV3, Omote Renge LV3, Een Seal LV3, 100 Healings LV3, For Symbols Seal LV3, Reaper Death Seal LV3, Harem Technique LV1, Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique LV3. Replacing Uzumaki Ashina's card restored Yefeng's sealing abilities, but with the original Mizukage Haku Ren, Yefeng also learned all of Haku Ren's ninjutsu, particularly proficient in water release, a hallmark of Kirigakure. The Mizukage were the strongest water ninjas in the Hidden Mist Village. Yefeng jumped out the window and vanished into the night. Bang, harem technique. Yefeng's harem technique wasn't about seduction, it was for misdirection. Yefeng's clone, transformed into a stunning beauty in a skin-tight black suit, suddenly appeared on the path to the Uchiha compound in the training grounds. Yefeng saw Koharu approaching, surrounded by a group of young Uchiha ninjas. Koharu was saying, keep a close eye on Yefeng these days. Suddenly, the young ninjas stopped dead in their tracks, eyes wide, young and full of hormones. They were instantly captivated by Yefeng's harem clone. The clone smiled, struck a pose, and sauntered towards them. Koharu frowned, sensing something was off. Be careful. Yes, Elder Koharu. Suddenly, Yefeng's clone attacked. Water release, water bullet. Yefeng formed his hand into a pistol shape and fired a stream of liquid from his fingertip, piercing Koharu's body. Koharu's eyes widened, and she fell backward in a spray of blood. The Uchiha ninjas roared, "We're under attack." They lunged at Yefeng's clone, kunai and shuriken flying, tearing into its body. Bang, star, the shadow clone vanished. A shadow clone. Suddenly, dozens of women in black bodysuits appeared, firing wildly at Koharu. Koharu's eyes widened as countless water bullets hurtled toward her. Her body was riddled with holes, blood splattered over the young ninjas, and their eyes went wide. "We're under attack. Help!" They lifted Koharu's lifeless body. Fear gripped their hearts. Elder Koharu was dead. Hidden in the shadows, a figure whispered, "I told you, I'd kill you today." Yefeng vanished just as Minato Namikaze arrived. Elder Koharu was attacked. What happened here? The panicked Uchiha ninjas described Yefeng's harem technique. It was a woman in a black suit. She used the shadow clone technique to kill Elder Koharu. She used water release ninjutsu, shooting water bullets from her fingers, like a pistol. Minato surveyed the scene, touched the water on the ground, and sniffed. It was water release. All right, Minato immediately thought of Yefeng, but it didn't match the description, a water release ninja. Could it be revenge from Kirigakure? But why Koharu? Minato had no idea. He gathered Koharu's body and headed back to the Hokage's office. For Hiruzen Sarutobi, it was going to be a long night. Chapter 069. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hokage office, smack, star. Danzo slammed his hand on the armrest, his face contorted with anger as he glared at Hiruzen Sarutobi. Hiruzen, Koharu died. Just like that. This has to be about Yi Feng. Jiraiya chimed in. Elder Danzo. Even Minato pointed out that the assassin used water release techniques, most likely the Hidden Mist Village's Hidden Mist technique. How could Yi Feng be involved? Despite his own reservations about Yi Feng, Jiraiya couldn't help but object to Danzo's blatant prejudice. Elder Koharu had just offended Yi Feng, and it happened right on the street. You think that's a coincidence? We need to investigate. Just because Yi Feng might have done something wrong, we shouldn't brush it under the rug. That's not right. Danzo's eyes narrowed, his gaze fixed on Hiruzen. Hamura Mitokado, seated beside him, kept his head down, saying nothing. Across the room, the legendary Sannin of Konoha remained quiet, observing the exchange between Hamura and Danzo. They were all curious to see how their sensei would handle the situation. Hiruzen sat on the Hokage's throne, his hair showing the first signs of gray, but he was at the height of his ninja powers. His body was in its prime, and years of combat experience allowed him to fight with over 100% of his potential, strong enough to contend with the third Raikage. He set aside the report and looked directly at Danzo. So, what are you suggesting? Hiruzen straightened in his seat, meeting Danzo's gaze without flinching. Hamura spoke, his voice heavy. It's plain as day. Yi Feng is acting like a bully. He gets a little power and thinks he can do whatever he wants. How is that different from the Uchiha clan back in the day? If we don't rein him in now, Konoha won't be Konoha anymore. He'll become the next Madara Uchiha. If we let him stay in Konoha, he'll destroy us all. Tsunade interrupted, hold on, Elder Hamura. That's a bit of a stretch. Yi Feng isn't comparable to Madara Uchiha. Hamura glared at Tsunade. Tsunade, I'm telling you the truth. Would a kind person force a tailed beast on someone? Tsunade shrugged. Why not? Yi Feng inherited wood release from the Senju clan and sealing techniques from the Uzumaki clan. He's a genius, no doubt about that. If he thinks your body is a good fit, then it's a good fit. He knows what he's doing. You always claim you'd sacrifice everything for Konoha. What changed when it comes to you? Tsunade, you. Hamura was furious. The power of the Two Tails began to surge within him. his eyes narrowing into slits and his teeth sharpening. Danzo, startled by Hamura's transformation, quickly stood and took a couple of steps back. Hamura, get a grip. Hiruzen swiftly appeared in front of Hamura, his right hand glowing with the 5 chakra natures, earth, water, fire, wind and lightning, before slamming it into a seal. 5-element seal. A bestial roar echoed from Hamura's body as the blue chakra surrounding him was drawn back within. Hiruzen sighed, Hamura, you should leave. You're not yourself. Hamura, his face a mask of sadness and resentment, took a deep breath, stood, and left, looking 10 years older. He knew what he was getting into when he volunteered to become the Two-Tails Jinchuriki. As long as he had the Two Tails inside him, he would always be at risk of losing control. All the power and influence that he had obtained was nothing in comparison to what he had become. All people would see was a monster, something that had to be restrained and watched. That damn Feng. As soon as Hamura was gone, Hiruzen turned to Orochimaru. Orochimaru, order the Umbu to keep an eye on Elder Hamura. He's still adjusting to being a Jinchuriki, and we need to make sure he doesn't hurt anyone. Yes, sensei. Then, Hiruzen glanced at Danzo. Danzo, everything you said was speculation. Calling him a Madara Uchiha is a reach. He's not even an Uchiha, and he won't become like him. Tsunade nodded. Sensei is right. Feng inherited my grandfather's abilities and learned the Uzumaki clan's sealing techniques. It was Elder Danzo who brought back the Two Tails, which went out of control. If it weren't for Feng's intervention, Konoha could have been devastated. Danzo's chest heaved with anger as he glared at Tsunade. If it weren't for Feng, we could have sealed it ourselves. Have you seen the training grounds north of the village? They're destroyed. Humph, Elder Danzo, do you even know how to perform the sealing technique? Would you even put your life on the line? You. Hiruzen interrupted them. Enough. Danzo, your prejudice against Feng is clouding your judgment. Look at this. Hiruzen tossed the report on Feng's defeat of the 3rd Mizukage in front of Danzo. Danzo snatched up the report, his face twisting into an ugly grimace. After 10 minutes of silence, Danzo looked up from the report, grunted, and said, I understand. I'm out. Hiruzen sighed and looked at Jiraiya and Tsunade. You can both go. Yes, sensei. Once alone in the office, Hiruzen spoke into the empty room. Hashirama-sensei, I wish I did not have to hide and die, but he's already walking down a dark path. Feng's figure flickered, appearing back in his room. He looked up to see a figure standing outside his door. He opened the door to find Mito Uzumaki standing there. Mito glanced at Feng and asked, not asleep yet? No, Grandma Mito. What's wrong? Mito Uzumaki studied Feng for a moment before saying, you did well today. Don't worry about it. Feng smiled. He wasn't worried, he just didn't want Mito and Danzo to die so easily. If that happened, all the bad things they'd done would disappear, and no one would know about them. What Feng wanted was to drag all the things that Mito and Danzo had done over the years out into the open, to let everyone in Konoha see what they had done. I understand what you're thinking. Hiruzen Sarutobi will get us a satisfactory result. Feng was surprised. Was Mito still placing her faith in Hiruzen? He was afraid of tarnishing his own reputation, he was afraid to kill those close to him. Sensing Feng's skepticism, Mito smiled. Just wait and see. With those enigmatic words, Mito Uzumaki turned and left. Early the next morning, Feng was awakened by Kushina again. It turned out that it was Hiruzen again. As soon as Hiruzen saw Feng, he invited him to join the administration department and parachuted him in as the head of the department. Akimichi Takei's health has deteriorated, and he can no longer manage the administration department. I think it's time for a younger man to take the reins. What do you think? At the same time, due to the shortage of high-ranking officials in the Umbu, Hiruzen hoped that Feng would hold 2 positions and serve as the deputy head of the Umbu at the same time, allowing him to form his own squad. And the current head of the Umbu was none other than the White Fang himself, Tsukumo Hatake. Ding, based on the host's current situation, here are 3 options. Option 1, refuse all of Hiruzen's offers and be a couch potato at home. Reward, complete Danzo-style ninjutsu. Option 2, decline just one of Hiruzen's offers. Reward, a Kimichi clan's secret art, human bullet tank. Option 3, accept all of Hiruzen's offers. Rewards, clues to Danzo's past crimes, ultra-long-range video recorder. Yifeng glanced at the 3 options and said lightly, "Alright, I accept." While the human bullet tank was appealing, the clues to Danzo's past crimes and the ultra-long-range video recorder were what Yifeng needed most. This ultra-long-range video recorder was quite small, similar to the video recorders from Earth. It came with a description claiming it was the latest black technology product from Air Country. It could record images from up to 1,000 meters away, but the maximum recording time was only 10 minutes. It seemed that the technology in the Naruto world wasn't as backward as Yifeng thought. Before leaving, Hiruzen sighed and said, "Yifeng, I hope you can understand that, as the Hokage, I'm constantly trying to maintain balance. Sometimes, the scale tips to one side, it is not always what I would like. In short, from today onward, you're someone that I, Hiruzen Sarutobi, have personally chosen." After Hiruzen left, Yifeng finally understood that old fox, Hiruzen, wasn't indecisive, just protective of his reputation. He liked to use other people's hands to do his dirty work. Killing his classmates was something Hiruzen couldn't bring himself to do. Hiruzen had passed the knife to Yifeng, and whether he chose to kill or not was entirely up to him. Hiruzen would remain ignorant. He's truly cunning. Chapter 070. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yifeng basically had 3 jobs, crammed into one body. On top of being the newly appointed head of the administration department and the deputy minister of the dark department, he was still the vice principal and teacher of the 7th class at the ninja school. It was a lot to juggle. "I don't want to work," Kushina playfully poked Yifeng with her finger, laughing. "Lazy bum," Yifeng pulled Kushina into a hug. "I'm not lazy, I just don't think I'll have any time for you. Between the administration department, the dark department, and the school, they all need me. Do I look like I have 3 heads and 6 arms? I don't want to be stuck working overtime every night." Blushing, Kushina snuggled against him. "Yeah, I know. If only you could be in 2 places at once. A clone." Hearing her, Yifeng's eyes lit up. "That's it. Kushina, you're a genius." He grabbed her and gave her a deep kiss. "Mph." Kushina melted into his arms for a moment before blushing and pushing him away. "What do you think you're doing? Grandma Mito could see us," Yifeng grinned. "Then let's go outside. Seriously, you really need to go to work. Naruto-sama said you have to report to the administration department this morning." Yifeng, still grinning, said, I'm going. That he made a hand seal, *bang, *2 shadow clones appeared behind him, looking at each other. "Wait, one's missing." *bang, another shadow clone appeared, making 3 in total. "Kushina, remind me to use the shadow clones more often." For most people, maintaining shadow clones for a long time was tough, but for Yifeng, it was nothing. Shadow clones used chakra to create physical copies that could think and act like him, with their own consciousness. Perfect. "You, go report to the administration department." "You, go report to the dark department." "You, go report to the school." The 3 clones stared at him blankly. "What about you?" "I'm going shopping with Kushina, of course." Kushina rolled her eyes, but secretly, she was thrilled. Clone 1 arrived at the school, where Minato Namikaze sought him out. "Yifeng, congratulations on becoming head of the administration department and deputy minister of the dark department." As deputy minister of the dark department himself, Minato knew about the changes. Jiraiya-sensei said if you're busy, you don't have to come to the school as often. I can take over the 7th class if you want. Yifeng glanced at Minato. "Nah, you're not very lucky." Minato blinked, confused. How did Yi Feng know he was unlucky? The words had slipped out, but now that he thought about it, Yi Feng was right. Look at the original timeline, Kakashi, Obito, the whole thing was a tragedy, even if Obito was redeemed later. And Minato died with Kushina during the Ninetales attack. The guy was cursed. Naruto, on the other hand, didn't have him as a teacher, and he still made it to 7th Hokage, talking his way through every obstacle. Luck was a weird thing. Yi Feng wasn't handing the 7th class over to Minato if he could help it, even though this was just his clone, his ideas and thought processes were the same. Sensei. Yi Feng Sensei. Yi Feng turned to see the 3 genin of the 7th class, Obito, Kakashi, and Rin. You're here. Yi Feng pulled out the teacher's manual and flipped through it. He supposed he was supposed to summarize their last mission. 8 Flying Sun Cut. That sly old man actually had some good ideas. He closed the book. Alright, let's review. Last mission, from your first encounter with the enemy to your performance later, you've all made great progress. I still remember when Obito first killed that mist ninja. You were a mess. Sensei. Obito's face turned red. It was like dragging out his darkest secret. Kakashi and Rin snickered. Sensei, please don't bring that up again. Obito pleaded through gritted teeth. He was part of the great Uchiha clan, and if that story got out, he'd never live it down. At Dark Department headquarters, White Fang clapped Clone 2 on the shoulder. I have a new mission. Lucky you're here, because I might be gone in half an hour. This is your token, representing high-level authority in the Dark Department. Within Konoha, no one will stop you. Yi Feng nodded, taking the token. White Fang grinned. Better get back soon, or the token will drop when your clone disappears. Yi Feng looked at White Fang, surprised. You can tell it's a clone. White Fang laughed. Could I be the minister of the Dark Department if I couldn't tell? Don't underestimate me, kid. White Fang left. Yi Feng stared thoughtfully at his departing figure. The legendary Konoha White Fang. How could a guy like that commit suicide? Was it because of this mission? White Fang senpai. White Fang stopped at the door. Yi Feng wasn't sure what to say. Be safe out there. You can always come to me if you need anything. Got it. White Fang waved and left. Clone 3 arrived at the administration department. The first floor was empty except for 2 people. They saw Yi Feng coming and quickly stood up. Lord Yi Feng, you're here. They'd been notified that Akimichi, the previous head, had been forced to step down due to a recurrence of an old injury. Yi Feng was the new boss. Just the 2 of you. Lord Yi Feng, should we take you to your office? Yi Feng nodded politely. Okay, that would be great. The 2 quietly breathed a sigh of relief. Maybe Lord Yi Feng wasn't as unapproachable as they thought. They led Yi Feng to the 2nd floor, which was also deserted. What the heck? Where is everyone? Yi Feng looked around. Something was off. No sooner had he sat down than work arrived. Lord Yi Feng, the Village of Mist's mission documents are here. Mission documents from the Village of Mist? Yi Feng glanced at them and was surprised. Because of the 3rd Mizuki's death, Kirigakure had sent an embassy to Konoha. No wonder the old man wanted him to parachute into the administration department. As the guy who'd killed the 3rd Mizuki, he was the perfect person to deal with this. The document said they wanted to retrieve the body of the 3rd Mizuki and a noble descendant. They also wanted to use the opportunity to express their friendship with Konoha and organize a joint Chunin exam. Of course, this Chunin exam was basically a gamble. If the Village of Mist won, they would retrieve the corpse of the 3rd Mizuki and take back the noble descendant. If they lost, they would still retrieve the corpse and take back the noble descendant, Zhao Meiyu, but they'd have to pay a heavy price. That was the Village of Mist's idea. Anyway, Konoha had its own ideas. Naturally, since the 2 sides couldn't agree, the mission had come to Konoha. Now, Konoha held all the cards. Yi Feng had killed the 3rd Mizuki, and with the Village of Mist now leaderless, this was their biggest advantage.